Right, onwards through the cavern. We're definitely getting to the boss fight this time, though clearly we've still got quite a few random encounters to go through before we reach the damn Dark Elf. I swear, I'd probably not run away so much if it wasn't for the fact that the game went out of its way to make sure we wouldn't have our best equipment on our way to the next major encounter. The limitations we have that are dungeon-specific feel so utterly bullshit to me, and it's not helped by the fact that I don't think any of the future games this company ever made ever pull this same thing again. The only other game I can think of that pulls the whole magnetic dungeon thing is the 3D remake of this same game, Final Fantasy IV. And I certainly can't think of any games that took inspiration from this particular brand of bullshit. And while I'm on the topic of bullshit, Yang just went from full health to unconscious in a single move. A single move that, as far as I know, we had no means of nullifying or blocking. And it looked visually the same as a move that simply temporarily paralyzes us. Not that its appearance really means all that much when it's not like we can dodge or block as we see the enemy move in a turn-based game. What can I say? I'm feeling a little frustrated down here, for hopefully understandable reasons. Well, at least the cave bats aren't likely to do anything especially obscene to annoy me. Though I'm apparently so tired of bothering to fight down here that I'm not even going to take on the weakest enemies in the dungeon. Have I mentioned that there are walkthroughs that outright tell you to run away from absolutely every fight except for the boss down here? And I do mean every fight. When even online guides tell you to either not bother to fight the enemy or use the remasters button that turns off random encounters, that feels like some pretty strong evidence that the dungeon design is a bit off. Though maybe I'm just a bit biased. It can be a bit hard to tell sometimes, especially since I'm a little close to the problem at the moment. Well, I suppose that's a nice upgrade for Yang, mostly because we've been having him fight without any claws attached. It doesn't seem to do anything for his attack power, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be useful in terms of the status effect it potentially inflicts, though maybe that's just wishful thinking. After all, a lot of the regular enemies aren't quite durable enough to warrant using attacks that cause status effects, and bosses are typically immune to that sort of thing. Or at least that's generally the case in the Final Fantasy series. Part of me wants to say that set of demonic torches is a good sign we're getting close. The other, can't help feeling they're a bit out of place in our current environment. Seriously, as frustrating as this place is, it doesn't feel like an outright hellhole. We are not fighting against especially demonic-looking foes, and the boss we're going to run into probably isn't going to be especially demonic either. He's a dark elf, something a bit more fantasy-based instead of something inspired by the bowels of hell. Though I do suppose the random mind flayers we occasionally see down here certainly hint that things might be a bit more demonic than it initially appears. Not too sure why I ran out of the room when I saw we got to the Dark Elf, but hey, we've reached the boss. It's certainly been troublesome to get here. And can someone please tell me why they have a designated crystal storage room here when this is not its usual resting place? Because this is a pretty expensive to build chamber. I feel like the Dark Elf shouldn't have a chamber like this in the Magnetic Cave. Does anyone else find this a bit odd? Hell, is it even right to call him the Dark Elf King when he seems to be the only Dark Elf on the planet? Just like the one we fought back in the original Final Fantasy. Right, let's see how this goes. Well, Yang's certainly hitting hard, no surprise there. And equally unsurprising, the difference in how much damage we do based on random chance feels annoying to me. Is it really too much to ask that things be a bit more consistent around here? Oh, come on! All that from just one turn? Just how the hell is Cecile the last one standing after all that? Granted, this was a fight we weren't supposed to win in the first place, hence why I didn't have Tella do any spells there, but come on. The bastard is not gonna hit that hard and fast that then next time we fight him in a few more seconds. There had to be a smoother way to pull that off. Should I bother asking how Edward knows this when we're a good distance away from his bed? The doctor and nurse with him don't seem to have any idea why he's pushing himself at the moment. Granted, I appreciate the fact that he's trying to help even as his body breaks down, but again, the poor bastard just wasn't built for this sort of thing. Though I suppose that limit helps make his determination all the more impressive or something to that effect. It's just that him helping us in this way in our desperate moment feels pretty damn contrived, not really fully earned. And it's not helped by the fact that it's coming just after a fight that, regardless of our level or how we use healing items, we are not meant to win. I suppose the sound effects of the visible musical notes flying through the air is a bit annoying compared to the calm tune he's actually playing, but I wouldn't call it torturous, though. I also tend to have ears anywhere near as large as that elf's, so, eh. Okay, we've been completely healed by the music. Both HP and MP are at their maximum. And for this fight, we're allowed to have on our best equipment like we normally would. I'm probably a bit paranoid using a save state here, but then in the Pixel Remaster I would use a quick save just in case here as well. If I manage to screw this up, I don't want to have to fight all the way through even half the damn dungeon just to get back to this sequence. Hell, the sooner we're done in the Lodestone Caverns, the better. Right. Why did I even bother thinking that a move called Analyze would be of any use in this fight? Especially when I'm so used to fighting essentially blind anyway in this game. Is there some explanation for why the Dark Elves' magical barrage is so much less damaging to our team? Because I do not think our equipment change between rounds in this fight should have made this much of a difference in his spell's attack power. As a side note, just why the hell are they still using the same damn sprite for the Dark Elf in this game that they did in Final Fantasy I? Sure, the sprite still works, it's not obscenely out of place or anything of the kind, but I could have sworn that Final Fantasies 4, 5, and 6 were on more powerful hardware than 1, 2, and 3. Sure, it wasn't a dramatic graphical jump like going from the Super Nintendo to the N64, but still. Okay, aside from turning Tella into a pig, that elf's spells are just absolutely pathetic this time around. Very big change. Yeah, that Dark Elf is having a pretty rough time against us right now. And he is just so much easier than the random encounters we go through just to get to him that it's downright hilarious. It actually makes the relaxing music in the background feel all the more fitting. And as I say that, he changes form into a weird silver dragon of some kind, but the game calls him a dark dragon for some reason. And the music changes to something we'd actually expect to hear in a boss fight. I guess Edward ran out of energy to keep playing the harp or something. Well, to nobody's surprise, the second form of this boss is significantly stronger than the first form. I would have liked some form of warning that this boss would be the kind that changes forms, though. Not that he lasted all that long as a dragon, but still, that felt like it came out of nowhere. And it's not like the game acted like he changed forms because he was drawing on the power of the crystal or something. Anyway, the boss is dealt with. Now to just get back to the castle, see how Edward is doing, and maybe see what the Council of Ladies in Charge has to say about the whole situation. And of course, we're going to have to temporarily get our good equipment back off, unless we want to instantly lose the moment we walk out of this chamber and get into another random encounter. Really looking forward to forgetting this entire dungeon existed. This was just a miserable experience all around. I suppose using the emergency escape is the better option from just walking our way out, since it's not like we were planning on fighting anyone on the way out. I can't think of any other occasion where I'd go out of my way to use something like that to escape from a dungeon fast. Not in any other role-player game I could think of, at the very least. Usually, I will get in absolutely every fight for the sake of gaining as much money and experience as possible. Well, confusing that treant didn't mean anything, since the very man who struck it to confuse it moved fast enough to get another shot in on the poor bastard before he could act. Okay, not even sure what that status effect that plant managed to inflict on us actually does. Hopefully it's something that disappears when a battle is done. Well, I don't see anything affecting our team at the moment, so apparently it does disappear after the fight. As a side note, why the hell did I never bother to switch Sid to the front line when his hammer probably hits harder from there? Sure, we never really paid for that specifically, but still, it feels like something we should have done at some point, and I have no clue why I chose not to in this playthrough. Either I saw something in a guide that says that Sid is just as good in the front as the back, or I just felt oddly lazy with our formation. Anyway, we're certainly clearing out our inventory of a lot of stuff we're never going to use ever again, along with some things that we were never going to use in the first place. Why the hell do critical items like the Earth Crystal and Mythgraven Blade take up the same amount of space as the things we can actually get rid of? I'm just far too spoiled by games that would separate the key items from the regular stuff in their own unique pocket. Anyway, time to rest in the inn, save, and take a bit of a break, though it looks like I'll be able to add the next bit of raw footage to this clip and keep things going for a little longer. The 2 bits of raw footage combined will be nice and under half an hour long. I doubt I'll be able to slip a 3rd bit of raw footage in here, though. Well, all set for now, though I'm sure we're going to be doing some more shopping for mithril gear before we get to the next dungeon. And apparently, I was looking at a guide for an extended period of time here. Hopefully I won't have to do that so much when I do some of the pixel remasters of the older games. It's funny how having an in-game map just makes me more confident all around. Right, let's keep things rolling for a bit. We've done our big task for the clip, but we've still got some things that need doing, like improving our equipment a little more. I'm really hoping that the later Final Fantasies do a better job with stores and equipment. And I'm kinda curious if that was an issue in Final Fantasy III as well. I certainly remember having a bit of an issue with the way stores gave us equipment in the first game, but it wasn't quite as annoying to me as this game for some weird reason. Yeah, despite the fact that we did a lot of running away, we still managed to get quite a bit of cash in there. Apparently, we can't afford the absolute best chest armor that both Sid and Cecile would be able to put on. I have the distinct feeling that the mithril hammer would have been useful while we were fighting the Dark Elf, but hey, we took him down reasonably well once we finally got to him, and the script didn't demand he beat us down for the sake of forcing Edward to do some long-distance support. It's also more than a little ridiculous that Edward somehow was more helpful to us when he wasn't directly on our team than when he's an actual party member. The guy has some of the best motivation to fight against the main villain, and he is built to be a support character, not a main one. That's definitely pretty damn strange when I think about it, but again, this game was the first Final Fantasy to really try to have a story that has actual characters in it, instead of a bunch of blank slates. They're allowed to make some weird decisions and blatant mistakes. I'll still call out what I think they could have done better, but they do have some slack considering this is already one of the best games of its era. Okay, apparently checking in on Edward now starts a special scene. Oh, there is absolutely need to thank you. That entire dungeon is bullshit. And even if the help felt pretty arbitrary and just highlighted how much I hated that place, it was still something worth caring about. I just really wish that Edward's best moment in this game wasn't something that revolved around the environment itself being such absolute garbage that we pray for a Deus Ex Machina. Tella, does that mean you suddenly want to marry Edward? Because I'm pretty sure by the time he repairs his kingdom and gets a reasonable priest back in there, you'll die of old age. Let's try to avoid him losing 2 different fiancés. He was already going to avenge Anna regardless. She is entirely the biggest part of the old man's motivation to keep on pushing forward in this conflict, and he is determined enough to learn a spell that he downright knows will probably kill him if he actually tries to use it, simply because he cares only about killing Golbez in this story. The biggest character trait for Tella is that he's an angry old man who doesn't give a shit if he doesn't last much longer. Lady, you're blocking us from actually getting into that chamber. Yeah, the crystal seems to have gotten significantly smaller in our pocket. This would probably feel a lot more triumphant if we didn't have to take the damn crystal to the main villain and bring him one step closer to world domination for the sake of rescuing Rosa. Should I bother asking how Kain is managing to transmit this reminder to us? Does it even actually matter? And by loan, do you mean you'll never see it again for the rest of the game? Well, considering the bad guy has the other 3 crystals, I'm assuming he may as well build himself an infinity gauntlet or something. Ah well, we've officially gained permission to raid the rest of this castle's item boxes. I suppose we'll just have to run around trying to find out where that storeroom is. Nope, already took everything from this section of the castle. Thank you. Still feels like a bit of an odd decision to turn your prison into a storeroom. I'm pretty sure there'd still be crime in this kingdom, regardless of how much of a utopia it might be. And while I made a sex dungeon joke the last time we were here, I just don't know what they were going for with the whole multiple women ruling the kingdom when every other kingdom had a single man ruling everything. Why not just have a queen? While the game has definitely done a lot more world building than the original Final Fantasy, it's not what I'd call comprehensive. But then I suppose the world building in Mass Effect kind of spoiled me in that regard. Huh. Why didn't I actually use that health-increasing item? I'm pretty sure Cecile is the only member of the party we're never gonna lose, no matter what bullshit the story sends our way. As a side note, I know I've said it before, but I really hate all the hidden paths in this game, and I'm pretty sure those are going to continue to be an issue in Final Fantasies 5 and 6 as well. Anyway, that should about do it for this clip. Next time, we get started trying to give the main villain what he wants, which probably won't feel so annoying if it wasn't for the fact that helping Rosa is a major thing for us for a second time in this plot. She's almost starting to feel like Princess Peach.